Thank you, President Goodnow. Thank you so much, Director Jackson. I just had a few questions. From the data that I've looked at when it comes to affordable housing, it seems that supply is really something that lowers rents. And so I'm just wondering, especially with the inconclusive study that was done by the, I forget the full name of the committee in the Washington Senate, and the kind of unknown incentives of whether or not those projects would have gone forward at market rate without the MFTE program. I'm a little reluctant to pull the 8-year market rate. And so I guess the first question I have for you is, how many developers in the last, let's say 5 years, or 5 or 7 years even, have taken advantage of the MFTE market rate 8-year incentive? I see 10.
I have a slide for that. Just a second.
Sure.
It's 10, including, I think, what's in the pipeline, if I could.
Okay, so and that's all market rate. That's not the 12-year affordable housing 80-20 mix, is that right?
Right. We have 4 projects that have applied for the 12-year and 10 that have applied for the 8-year.
Okay. So do we know how many? I'm not sure if your slide said how many units that is, what those 10 projects would equate to.
Sure. So all in all, there's 1,066,
okay.
But there are 884 for the 8-year and 182 for the 12-year.
Okay, so it seems like developers, at least 10 of them in the last, when we're getting this boom, right, when affordable housing is becoming a crisis, actually are taking advantage of that. Is there a rationale for pulling that part of the program?
And the rationale is that that it's a public benefit and that the public should potentially be benefiting more by providing affordable housing. So it's up for the council to decide on which direction this goes. But that is the argument, is that they are getting a tax incentive. And so how much should the city of Bremerton be requiring and tailoring to our community? So it's a council decision, but
yeah, I think the logical rebuttal to that is, and what I'm guessing constituents, especially developers, are going to be responding with, is a public benefit of a market rate reduction based on an increased supply is probably good tax policy, in addition to the affordable housing. So that's, I'm reluctant to pull that, to be honest, to pull that aspect of it. I think creating supply and incentivizing supply at market rate and having affordable housing incentives is the 2 prongs that we need to be addressing housing affordability at. I guess my other question is, I also worry about kind of redefining low income. Like, I'm glad that we're redefining it at 39,000, but we live in one of the most expensive regions in the country on a major metropolitan level. I know that HUD looks at Bremerton, Silverdale, but just the Puget Sound region in general, cost of living is quite expensive. And so I worry about the folks that are making $52,000 right now, who are getting a rent cap at $1,300 a month, that's a high rent to me, especially if you're making $52,000. So is there room in this to keep that moderate program while also allowing the low income? Like, is there a possibility where we can do a certain mix of moderate, a certain mix of low income, and then market, or where are our hands tied on that one?
So, and once again, this would be a council-based decision on where these rates would be set. We're proposing to adjust these numbers to what's more specific to what Bremerton residents are making. But ultimately, it's a council decision.
Sure. So final question, and it's just a follow-up to that. Assuming you get in touch with the Department of Commerce and they say, yeah, you need to do 20%. You can't go more than 20%, but it at least needs to be 20%. Would it be up to the council to decide if there's strata within that 20%?
It would be, right. There's strata currently between moderate and low income. So it's once been a council-based decision.
Great. And I heard Vice President Dowgs ask if, housing authorities have been consulted, other stakeholders, have developers who, get the financing for creating this supply of housing, have they been consulted at all?
I had sent some notice, as I had said, to everybody who has applied for the MFTE. So every project that has an application in was provided notice. And I've spoken on the phone to one developer who said it seemed fairly standard as far as what's going on in the area, like the greater area, not just Kitsap.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much, Director Jackson.
I do want to mention that to the public. I see a hand raised. There's no option tonight. This is a study session.